Let's talk a little bit about ghosting versus taking space, and particularly why the avoidant attached person would do the ghosting thing. And also, if you have an anxious attachment style or you have a secure attachment style, what can you do? This video is also going to help the avoidant attached to understand how the anxious attached feels when they are ghosted or when you just walk off without saying anything, without communicating your need for space. Now, first of all, let's break down the whole ghosting thing. If you believe in the other world, it's what we call the supernatural world, then we would have heard about ghosts. What does a ghost really do? You're sitting in your living room, the energy comes in and it leaves. And for some people, that energy can be uncomfortable and they may find an exorcist and try to get rid of that ghost. For some people, they just accept that this is how it is. The ghost doesn't really disturb them, so they just allow the ghost to do whatever it does. It's the same thing with us human beings. For an avoidant attached person, sometimes a relationship can become overwhelming. These are people who love their independence, who value autonomy, who want to feel safe within a relationship, safe to be an individual while still being with someone who loves them and cares about them. Now, there are a lot of other internal emotional factors that affect a person with an avoidant attachment style. They are afraid of intimacy. They are afraid of being vulnerable. Why? Because they've learned in the past that when they open themselves up to another human being, they're giving that human being the ammunition to hurt them. And they've not yet been able to love themselves enough to set those boundaries so that they could protect themselves from other human beings. So they know that by giving you information about themselves on things that hurt them in the past, then you could possibly use that information to dig another wound into them. So they try to stay away. They take their time in getting to know you and allowing themselves the time to get to know you so that eventually they can trust you. Now, that depends on the person, on the individual. The time it's going to take for them to trust you is going to depend on the individual and how much trauma they've suffered in their past. Now, we're not only talking about trauma from childhood, we're talking about trauma from the experiences they've accumulated over the years. It started in childhood, but then they might have gotten into relationships after. And it depends on how many times they got into a relationship and how devastating those relationships were when those relationships ended. That all adds into the trauma bucket. Now, what happens when they're overwhelmed? Not by what might be happening in the relationship, but their own feelings, their own thoughts. They tend to run away. And a lot of times they don't communicate why they're leaving. And why does that happen? Generally, it's because they are afraid of what you may say as a partner. What would you say if I have an avoidant attachment style and I come to you as my partner and I say, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm getting too close to you. I feel like I'm too in love with you right now. And I'm so scared that if I have this intense feeling for you, then you may just walk out on me. And I need to remove myself and I need to ground myself. You're probably going to look at me and ask, what are you, crazy? Loving me is a good thing. Which, for the anxious attached or secure attached, that's what you want to hear. But it's a terrifying feeling for the person who's got an avoidant attachment style. Now, that person may have gotten into a little tiff with you in the relationship. And now they start to wonder, okay, we've had a little disturbance in the relationship. Does that mean that you're going to leave me? Am I not good enough? I'm in the same place I've always been in the past. And it's always led to a breakup. And now, as the avoidant attached, I'm feeling overwhelmed. How do I come to my partner and say, I'm scared. I'm scared that because of this big fight that we've had, you're now going to leave me. You now think that I'm not good enough. You're probably going to start looking for other options. How do I say that without giving you the impression that I'm terrified of leaving you. So now you're going to take that little bit of information I gave you because I was vulnerable and use it against me. So there's a lot that goes on into the minds of someone who's into the mind of someone who's got an avoidant attachment style, and that's just two small examples I'm giving. So they become overwhelmed and they want space. They don't know how to communicate that space and they leave. Now, if you've got an anxious attachment style, I get it. It's very, very scary. I've been in that place before. I remember being in relationships and learning over time that after a relationship gets too rocky and that person asks for space or they just disappear, chances were that they were coming back to end that relationship. And it's happened so many times in my past that my brain started to believe that that was going to be the story. What did I do when that person asked for space or when they left? I reached out and tried to grab onto them and I tried to pull them back, which never worked. The only thing that worked was allowing them to get about their life, do their thing, take their space, take their time to process. And in time, I had to trust that in time, they will start to heal their attachment style by becoming aware of their triggers and working through those triggers and processing those emotions. Now, in doing that, in allowing my partner to have that space without reaching out and trying to pull them back, they were able to come back in a shorter time in an energy that allowed them to have that uncomfortable, vulnerable conversation where we could work through our issues. I know it is not easy, but doing it this way, allowing them the space, allowing them the time, also helps the anxious attached to learn how to ground themselves, learn how to process their own emotions and go into the past and ask, why am I feeling this need to rush after this person? What is it I'm not seeing about myself? Am I not worthy to be loved? Am I not valuable in a relationship? Why am I chasing this person to see my worth? Why am I unable to respect the fact that they need space? They have trauma that creates a different reaction or action or response, and it's their thing to sort out. What can help is keeping in mind that when we allow people to move away and do their thing, we're also giving them a chance to heal and grow. If we're constantly reaching out to a person because we're afraid that they're going to leave us, then they're always thinking that they can do whatever they want to, and we're always going to be there to receive them, to accept them, to compromise with them and their feelings. When we allow them to see that we love ourselves so much so that we're not going to chase. If you want to leave, that's all right, you can go. We're allowing them the chance to see what they can be missing in a relationship with us. We're taking away the chance from them to really process what we bring to the relationship. And so I've helped you to understand a little bit, I hope, what ghosting is and why the avoidant attached does it. Now, for the avoidant attached person, you also want to build an appreciation and awareness and respect for what your anxious attached partner or your secure attached partner might be going through. They can't read your mind. They don't know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And you may not be able to express that right now, but it would be so helpful if you could even send a text message to say, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. I just need some time. And I promise you, when I'm done processing, I will come back. I am thinking about you. I love you. I am here. And if it means that you're going to take a week or 2 weeks off, force yourself in that time that every other day you're going to send a message to your partner and say, I'm still thinking about you. I'm still processing. I'm still right here. That helps your partner to relax. You see, when it comes to these dynamics, we have to. We have to be compassionate towards each other. We have to all try to appreciate how our trauma creates the beings that we are. We have to start coming together. We have to become aware of the attachment styles, be compassionate towards the attachment styles, be empathetic or respectful so we could come together. Because if we just keep walking out on people all the time and pushing them away, we're not really going to get anywhere. And really, we're causing a lot of hurt to ourselves, because what we start to do is we start to think that we are unworthy when we're not. Each and every one of us is worthy of love and respect, compassion, and empathy. And this does not mean that you don't get to set your boundaries. Your boundaries would look in this particular situation as stepping back, pulling your energies back to yourself when your partner steps away and takes their space. You get to set your boundaries by pulling your energy back. Don't reach out, don't chase, you don't have to. Work on yourself in this time of space. Look at it as space and not they're ghosting you. They're taking space. And that's another thing that I'm going to talk about in another episode. I really want to talk about how the words we use affect the way we feel. So you want to use the word space. This person's taking their space. It's not that they're ghosting me. Now, when someone ghosts you and they never reach out, they never communicate again, what could be causing that? You're not in a relationship, it's the beginning stages of your dating, and they've just dropped off the face of the earth. They don't respond to your messages at all. What can that be? Well, a number of reasons. One of it is they might just be afraid of hurting your feelings by saying, I'm not interested in going out with you anymore. They may be afraid that you may get upset with them and yell at them. They may think that they're not good enough for you. But whatever the reason is, when someone cannot communicate with you what their thoughts are and what their feelings are, that's just an indication that they need to work on their healing. It's got nothing to do with you. They just need to work on their healing and how they approach relationships. Let me know if this was helpful. Drop it in the comments. I love hearing your thoughts. And if you have questions, you can either email them to me or you could leave them in the comments. I'll see them and then I'll do another video for you. Until next time.